In my hands, I have the Dog Soldiers 4K limited edition Blu-ray from Second Sight Films, and I have spent the last weekend with this release. So in this video, I'm going to review everything about this, so do stick around. Hello there, it's Elliot here with another 4K review, this time, as I said, of Dog Soldiers on 4K from Second Sight Films. They've released this lovely limited edition box set. There's tons in this package, tons of special features, there's a book, there's all sorts. So in this video, I'm going to run down everything you get in here. I'll look at the packaging first of all, then I will talk about the video and audio of the 4K disc, then I'll talk a bit about the special features, and finally, if you want to stick around, I will talk about my thoughts on the film itself. With this being a 4K release, it will be region free, so no matter where you are in the world, you should be able to play this on your 4K Blu-ray player. So if you like this review, I'll leave a link down to where you can buy this online, and it'll help the channel out at no additional cost to you if you decide to do that. Before I get into the review, let me just tell you a bit about this film in case you haven't seen it or heard of it before. So Dog Soldiers is a horror action film about this group of British soldiers who are sent into the Scottish Highlands just for a training mission. But when they get there, they realise that there are these werewolves that are attacking people, attacking these soldiers, and the soldiers are cut off from all communication to the outside. So it is a bit of a survival film, very much in the vein of Night of the Living Dead or Assault on Precinct 13, one of those kind of movies. It's a film that's had a cult status ever since it came out in the early 2000s. So I imagine a lot of people are going to be excited to see this on a 4K disc. Anyway, let's start off with the packaging. So it comes in this rigid slipcase, which is a standard thing now for all of Second Sight's limited editions. It does have this little J card on here, so I'll take this off. What this basically has is all of the special features and specifications on the back of this. Having taken that piece of paper off, this is what it looks like. So first of all, I love the striking artwork of this. It's just absolutely beautiful and would be just a great display piece on your shelves if you are a big fan of this movie. On the spine, it just says Dog Soldiers and just has Second Sight's logo there. So thankfully, no ugly UK ratings logos or anything. And then on the back, it also just has Second Sight Films title there, and then just more artwork of the iconic house from the film itself. So inside there are a few things in the contents, so I'll just pull these out for you and I'll just show you what each of them is individually. So first of all, you get our favourite thing in a limited edition. It's a bunch of art cards. I've said this before, I don't really see what the purpose of art cards actually is. I mean, some of these are stills from the film and some of them are the new poster designs. I could see displaying these on your wall, but frankly, are you going to want these stills from the film displayed in your house? I mean, I don't know what these are for, but obviously these labels keep putting art cards in their releases, so there must be some kind of demand for these, just not from me. So I'll stop talking about these. So getting to the meat of what you get inside here, there is a thick book. This says Dog Soldiers Field Notes. And in here, there's a variety of things. There's some articles written about the films. There's some behind the scenes things in here, some stills from the film, some of the behind the scenes photos and things like that. So there's all sorts in here. It's a pretty comprehensive booklet on the film. And then of course the main event, the discs themselves are housed in this little case. You get the 4K UHD disc and you also get a standard Blu-ray as well. Do bear in mind that while the 4K disc is region free, anything on the Blu-ray I think will be region locked to region B, so you won't be able to access the film or any features on the standard Blu-ray unless you can play region B discs. So that was a quick look at the packaging, but now let's talk a bit about the disc itself and is it worth getting for the supposedly great video and audio quality that you can get from a 4K disc. So video, first of all. I think that Dog Soldiers on the Second Sight 4K disc has an incredible look to it. It is very pleasing to the eye. The image is filmic. It was shot on 16mm film, so the 4K scan has all of the grain intact. It doesn't look like it has been tampered with digital effects or anything like that. So it does look like you're watching a film, and I think it looks great. The resolution of the image lets you see so many fine details in the faces of the soldiers and in their clothes and the setting of the house and everything. There is just so much detail packed into the image. Now, the film is mostly set at night, so a lot of scenes are very dark, but the image doesn't look too dark. It doesn't look like the film has been darkened for this release. There is a Dolby Vision HDR grade on this 4K disc, and while I mentioned that the film is quite dark, there also isn't, it's not a very colourful film. It's not one that I would say is very vibrant. So because of this, you're not going to experience a wider array of colours like you would for a film that is very colourful inherently. However, the HDR does of course enhance the contrast here. The darker colours, the blacks on the screen look absolutely great to me. It didn't seem like there was any compression issues, any artifacts or banding or anything in the image. I didn't notice that to my eye. And the same with the highlights, the brighter colours. They all look very well resolved and I didn't see any issues with that. Overall, from what I can see in this 4K disc, it should be a big jump from older Blu-ray presentations. I didn't have an older Blu-ray disc to do a comparison to, but I've got to imagine that it did not look like this on an older Blu-ray. So those are my thoughts on the video aspect of this release. Now we'll just briefly talk about audio. To be honest, the audio sounds very good to me indeed. Everything sounds clear in the mix. The dialogue, the gunshots, all the sound effects, everything sounds very well, balanced in the mix. I didn't have any issues with the audio. I was just having a brief look on the internet at what some other people have said about this release and some of the other 4K Dog Soldiers discs, because there is one that came out in Germany a few years ago, and there's one that's actually coming out the same time as this from Shout Factory in the US. And I believe on the Shout Factory Master, there are some issues with certain pops in the soundtrack, which shouldn't be there. These popping sounds shouldn't appear. I think it's only once or twice in the film that it actually happens. But from what I heard, I couldn't hear any of that in the Dog Soldiers Second Sight disc. And I even went back and listened to the exact points in the film where people said they heard this in the Shout Factory version, and I couldn't hear it at all on the Second Sight. So that's just something to bear in mind. I haven't seen that Shout Factory 4K disc, so I can't comment myself on that. That is just what I have seen from some other people online who have had some early access to that disc. So overall, in terms of audio and video, I would say do not have any hesitation in purchasing the brand new 4K disc from Second Sight. Now we'll just have a brief look at the special features on this disc. I'm not going to read out everything on the back of this. Let me just say that there is a lot of special features in this package, so it is ideal if you are a fan of this film. You're definitely getting a lot of value for your money if you buy this release. So there are some audio commentaries, there's a gag reel with an optional commentary with Neil Marshall, the director. There are various features on here, and the one that I actually liked in particular, there was a very candid interview with Neil Marshall talking about his entire career in the film industry. And that was great to actually listen to, because it's very inspiring how he got into film and actually making this film. So I think that if you are an aspiring filmmaker yourself, that is a feature that you will actually find, like I said, very inspiring. He also talks about some of his troubles on one of his more recent films, the Hellboy remake from 2019, where apparently it just seems like he got screwed over on that one. So it was sad to hear about that, and I hope it doesn't really affect his career going forward, because Neil Marshall, he has a great spirit, a great creative spirit, and an interesting vision in terms of cinema. So yeah, that feature was a great one, and it's one I'd recommend checking out on the disc. So the film itself, Dog Soldiers, what do I think about this? Well, I just mentioned that I find Neil Marshall, and this film in particular, very inspiring, because it isn't a big budget film. It was his directorial debut, and this was just, it shows how important it is to just get the right people together, and you can make a film look and sound much better than the actual budget that you have to make the film. The film is very much a genre film, which is unusual for the British film industry, because we seem to have an aversion to genre films here. Yes, some do seep through the cracks and get made and can end up being very successful, like Dog Soldiers, but it seems that producers in this country just don't want to take the risk on a genre film. So being a genre film, Dog Soldiers definitely serves its purpose. It hits the right notes. It probably is the best werewolf movie of the last few decades. This isn't one of my favourite films of all time, but it is definitely an enjoyable watch. There are a few things that hold it back from being truly great, in my opinion. I think it does get bogged down a bit in the middle, and this is a film that could have been, a nice tight 90-minute movie, but it is almost 2 hours, and I think there is stuff that could have been cut at the script stage. And one thing that does stick out in particular on this watch really is there is one female character in the film, and her dialogue is really not that realistic and not great. So I don't know if the filmmakers struggled to actually write a believable female character amongst all these male characters. That doesn't ruin the film at all. The film is still very enjoyable, and I think, like I said, it's one of the best werewolf movies out there. So in conclusion, do not hesitate to buy this. If you're on the fence, get off that fence and just buy it. It's well worth it. If you're into a nice limited edition set, or if you're just into a great looking and sounding 4K disc. If you enjoyed my review of Dog Soldiers on 4K, then do check out this video on some of my favourite 4K discs of the year so far, because you can get some more recommendations for some great 4K discs to add to your collection. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.